Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Behind the Camera with AndyGames. This is the podcast where I interview streamers and content creators with the sole purpose of getting to know the person a little bit more behind the camera. Today, we have a very special guest in Teegstah. Teegstah, thank you for taking the time to join us today on Behind the Camera. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you so much for getting me on board. It was so exciting to get that invite
Oh,
to
of course,
do this.
of course. No, and I do appreciate you taking the time. So, so just the premise of this is I'll just be asking you a few questions, just, for the communities, just to get to know you just a little bit better on a deeper level, things that, you wouldn't really talk about much on stream. Like, I've sent you the questions over, so hopefully there'll be nothing too blindsidey for you.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm
so
excited.
no, me too. And I think a lot of people and the chat have been quite excited as well, which is good. That's what you want to see. It's what you want to see. So first of all, your streaming journey to this date, we could say it's been amazing, to say the least. You rose to Twitch partner, and then you've recently got a new partnership with Elgato, which congratulations on.
Thank you.
So take us back to the very beginning, in terms of your gaming history, like, and how you got into streaming, like, where did that all begin?
So I've like gaming wise, I've always gamed for as long as I know. You can see behind me, I've got just like my Game Boy Color. I've got all my consoles from when I was a child. And I'd be that kid. I was completionist from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing Donkey Kong 64 and I had an actual binder and I would have pieces of paper, and on each page, when you have like the start menu, and that start menu was like shoom, shoom, and it was like each Kong, and you had to find how many bananas, and every
Yeah.
single Kong had like 100 bananas, and then it had the medal, and then it had the 5 bananas and the blueprint, and I had that written out on the page, and I would update it as I went. And I would like flick through it, and I was just obsessed with playing through that. I'd play Super Mario 64, I'd get all the stars, and I would just play it through and through and through. And that was just how I played games. And like, so I really heavily started on Nintendo 64, but I also had my Game Boy Color when I was on the move, and I would play like Donkey Kong Country. I'd spent hours on like the minecart levels
Yeah.
collecting all of the like KONG and all that kind of thing. And I had like my Pokemon. I was just obsessed. I've always had like a console in my hand, and it's kind of grown with me as I've just gone through life.
Yeah.
I was very heavily console gaming when I was younger. I started my PlayStation as well after, like, once I got my own console. I got the PlayStation. I had like PS1, PS2, and I would play Crash Bandicoot religiously, Spyro the Dragon religiously. I just loved all them. I had the Toy Story game. I actually literally have all my CDs right there, all my discs. So I played that, and then I went to Xbox as well. We went to Xbox, so I had both. And then on my Xboxes, I was heavily into like Call of Duty. I was into Fable. I was into like I was really like obsessed with like the campaign in Modern Warfare, and then like the zombies in World at War, like 5. So I was constantly doing a bit of like multiplayer. Was kind of That's when that kind of
Yeah.
became. And then so that was kind of through high school. And then at the same time as that, I always had my Nintendo DS. Like, so the Game Boy Color evolved into the Advance, which evolved into
Yeah.
the SV, and then the DS, and then it went like that. And then we also had like a family like Wii console, but my
Yeah.
youngest sister kind of claimed that. But I loved playing like Super Mario Galaxy. I just absolutely adored it. But yeah, I had my DS, and I would just like take that with me everywhere I go. Whenever I wasn't at home with a console, I
Yeah.
would have a console with me, and you bet that I'd have that on Street Pass. So like when the DS used to count how many walks you'd have, and you'd get puzzle pieces from
Yes.
passing people in the street when it was on sleep mode. Yep, that was me.
Brilliant.
I recently actually went through a container. I was doing like a massive, as my community told me, that it actually was like Swedish death cleaning. Have you heard of that?
No. I haven't heard of that.
Swedish death cleaning is a concept. I was like, "Okay." But it's a concept where you go through your belongings with the mindset of, if I were to just die, and then my family were going through this, what stuff would they actually keep for themselves, and what stuff would they just
Yeah.
be kind of burdened with and have to move off? If it's the second, you know, rehome it, get rid of it. And that was kind of what I was doing. I was going through like stuff, and I was like, what actually is me? Like, what am I holding on for sentimental value? What is,
Yeah.
and I was culling things. one thing I found, I didn't throw it away, was the car charger for the Nintendo DS. And I was like, yes, I love this so much. It was like I was like, oh my gosh, this still exists. Yeah, it's just wild. I hold on to so much technology. Um, I don't even know how I got to this tangent, but yeah, I had a DS, all that kind of thing. Then I went to uni and I had like a 2DS. I thought that was the coolest thing, like the flat DS.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the Pokemon edition, and I was like, I'm cool. Subtle. And then yeah, so that will lead me kind of into a bit more of my streaming journey. And alongside doing all this, I was also like dancing and singing growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would always have my DS, like, because I'd go straight from school and high school to dancing, and I kind of wait out there. And then what do you do when you wait? Da DS. Yeah, so I was always doing that, and then I went to uni. I actually studied the technical term. It sounds so fancy. A bachelor in games and interactive entertainment,
It
which is a
does.
fancy way of saying I learned how to make games.
It still
So I
is,
was majoring.
fancy.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like, ooh. But no, I pretty much just learned how to, like, I was majoring in design, and then minoring in animation and programming. So I was kind of just learning how to, like, I was programming like mainly in Unity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was doing all that, and so I've kind of got like that grew obviously from my interest in just gaming in general, and I just have like a underlying need to understand everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, because I love it so much, it's just I wanted to understand how the whole process was, and like I don't know how much you know about game design, but the main leader, like the main designer, they kind of it's very good for them to have a knowledge of all the underlying parts underneath them. So the
Yeah.
sound, to have like the programming, a little bit of animation. So then when they do design, they've got in mind somewhat limitations of what they can and can't do, and they've kind of got it's a bit more realistic. And I love that because I'm a person that just likes to do everything. I don't like having like one thing. So that was just like me in a nutshell. And then I did that, but I didn't finish that degree. I got like right to the last year, and the last year's essentially 2 semesters. One
Yeah.
semester, pitch a game, last semester, make the game. But because I got a contract to go work overseas, and I went overseas, and then that's when my gaming became very handheld because I couldn't bring consoles with me.
Yeah.
Um, and then I came back from like doing a few contracts overseas, and then I moved to Sydney, and then I wasn't able to transfer my degree. Ugh. They wouldn't
Ah.
recognize my prior learning. They were like, "You have to go and learn Python," and I was like, "No, I have made a game. Please see. I don't need to learn what a variable is."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I do not need to pay
Mm.
$3,000 for that."
Exactly.
So yeah, I was like, "No, that's okay. I won't do the degree. I've already got the knowledge. I just don't have the bloody
Yeah.
piece of paper." Um, so yeah, I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then yeah, so I went and did that, and then I started doing singing heavily,
Mhm.
and that was kind of like that's like my job that I do right now. I wouldn't really call it a job. It sounds so funny when I call it a job, but it pays the bills.
Yeah.
So technically it's a job. Um, so yeah, I was doing that, and then because I was doing that, then the pandemic hit, and when the pandemic hit, all my work just went, "Sorry, we're canceling.
Mm.
Sorry, we're canceling. Sorry, we're
Yeah.
and I was like, um, and the only thing I was doing in that time, because I was like, literally my days would be CTR had just released, by the way. CTR had just released, and I was like heavily into the Grand Prix at that time. And then I knew Animal Crossing was coming out on the 20th of March, and I was like, here we go. And I was like, I'm just gonna lock myself in the room. I grossly I played that game on release. And you know how like the Switch doesn't tell you your average, like how many hours you've played for the first 10 days?
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't know how many days I'd played. And I got the thing 10 days after, and I think it was like I hadn't played 1 day out of all the days, and I think it was 120 something hours.
Wow.
It averaged to 12 hours a day for 10 days, but
Yeah.
I hadn't actually played it in 1 day, so it was really gross. Um,
But what else are you
I
going to
had
do
just been
during that
through.
time though? Like, I mean, if you're locked down, you're
This
isolated.
wasn't
It
lockdown.
wasn't locked. Oh my
This
God.
was right before
Right
lockdown.
before. Oh wow. Well, I mean, if anything, then that kind of serves as like a nice prelude to to going into lockdown, really, doesn't it?
Pretty much. But that's how like I would always be like that, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll go work. And then I'd like go do a gig and I'd come home and game. But then gaming like then when like the gigs went, I was like, what could I do? And then
Yeah.
my friend was over and he was like, you should stream on Twitch. And I was like, what's Twitch? I don't even know what that is. And then I messaged my sister at the time, my younger sister, and I was like, what's Twitch? And she's like, oh, I know what Twitch is. And then she was like, okay, so you need to make a Discord server. And I was like, okay. So I made a Discord server. I was like, what do I call it? And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to call myself. And I had to decide what I was going to call myself. Was it going to be my Xbox gamer tag, which was Teeganator,
I love
or my
that.
Skype username Teegstah? And I was like, I think Teegs is a little bit softer because I'm really not like Teeganator is like such a cod name. Like it was like when I was just like
Yeah.
360.
It's pretty
I
good
was
though,
like,
like Teeganator.
yeah, I liked it. My dad was like obsessed with the Terminator, and I was like,
Hmm.
it kind of like came from that. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of fun because I definitely had some toxic days on Call of Duty
I think
back
we
in the
all
day.
did. I think we
I
all
was,
did around that time, like 14 to 15, 16 years old. There's a yeah, if you could, there's a lot of things flying about in the internet where it's just like old voice notes, and it's just like, wow, people actually said
yeah.
that. Holy shit.
Well, I would just sit there being quiet, and then
Yeah.
like I would annihilate them, and then they get really pissed, and then I just rub salt in the wound, being like, "How does it feel being beaten by a girl? Disconnect." Like just stuff like this. That's mild, but I would just kind of rub salt in the wound exactly where it hurt, put pressure where it hurt. But yeah, no, that was fun. I get very competitive on multiplayer games. Um, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. I went on a
How you
tangent.
decided on
Oh,
Teeks to being your Skype name?
yes, well, Teegstah was my Skype name back in 2009,
Hmm.
and if you look through, like, all my school diaries back when I was in my tagging days, in my school diary, because 'cause I'm so cool, and I'm using quotation marks, by the way, for anyone who has not had the visuals, because 'cause I'm being completely sarcastic, I would do Teegstah, but you know, like, leak speak? Do you know leak speak?
It
It's like
sounds
when you
familiar,
use
but
numbers and symbols instead of letters, so, like, Teegstah would be
oh
733
yes, yes, yes.
$6 money, 7 at symbol 4.
Yeah.
So that would be my name, and that would be what I would tag. So I was like, "Okay, this is fine, I'll do that." And then, like, I literally decided that in the car park of, like, a shopping mall when I went to go get, a capture card, and I picked up my first Elgato,
Oh,
capture card. That was my first one, and I still have that capture card to this day. It still works. 8,500 stream hours later,
wow.
still going. Yeah, so yeah, and I kind of
Hmm.
segued into streaming like that, and I just never looked back after I did that. Did I
Yeah.
answer the question? I think I did.
100%, yeah. So what sort of then, like, obviously because you're like a variety streamer. I
Mhm.
think every single time I've come into one of your streams, you're doing something different, which I think is amazing. What if you remember, what was the first thing that you streamed, or like, did you always start out as a variety streamer, or was it just like, this is what I'm going to do as my niche for a while before going into other things?
So I started off with Animal Crossing and also Crash Team Racing. So I do 2 streams a day. I streamed every single day for a whole year,
Oh
and
wow.
I would start and I would do an Animal Crossing stream, and then I would do a I'd start with an Animal Crossing stream, and then go into a Crash Team Racing stream.
Hmm.
And at the time in Crash Team Racing, I was working on getting the Master Wheels, which was beating all the developer times. And then I'd play like Animal Crossing. I remember I started streaming literally maybe a week and a bit before my birthday,
Hmm.
and it was like looking back at the VODs, cringest thing of my life. Cringest thing of my life because I had no one watching me. No one was watching me. I didn't know anyone. I didn't network. I just kind of went raw dog into this platform, and I was just doing my thing because I was having a good time. I was having the time of my life. I was just doing it, and then literally, like, my birthday VOD, it's so cringe. It's so cringe. Like I think there's like a bit where I get like the Animal Crossing. You know, the Animal Crossing does like the celebration about your birthday.
Yes, yep.
So it's like I think the VOD is literally like baby Teagues just being like, "Oh, it's my birthday. Yay." It's so
I
cringe.
feel like that needs to like make an
Oh,
appearance at some point in the
oh,
future.
I
If you
can dig
still
it
have
up.
it, I think it
I
needs
have
to. I
it.
think the people need to
I
see
have
that
it.
because that
It's
sounds.
cringe.
But you know what?
It's
When you look
cringe.
back though, like you're talking about like what 4 years there.
Yeah.
Consider like the sort of the entire journey you've been on. That's like sort of your beginning right there. Your birthday like 4 years ago, and it's kind of like compare that to like where you are now. It's how you look back and say, yeah, of course it's cringe, but when you are starting out,
Oh,
you
it's
kind
pretty
of have to
cringe.
do these things. You kind of have to do these things to like stand out when you're in like such like an early stage of streaming. I think.
100%, like, there was a lot of things that I think I did do like, I know that I'm tooting my own horn, but I think there's a lot of things I did do right,
Yeah.
at the beginning of my streaming journey, and one of which was kind of, reinforcing this kind of stream of consciousness
Yeah.
that I'm kind of just verbally diarrheaing, like, just vomiting up constantly, and what I would that didn't like that wasn't it's kind of natural to me to an extent, but it's natural now, but to kind of it's more so just getting comfortable with the sound of your own voice
Yeah.
and not cringing at what you're saying, um, and being comfortable speaking to no one.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
was something that was a bit foreign to me. So what I would do is before I started my stream, I'd sit down, I'd get a piece of paper. And so for example, we're doing Animal Crossing and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna write some questions down. Who is your favorite villager?
Mhm.
What was your favorite Animal Crossing game? What was your first Animal Crossing game? What do you think about Bunny Day? Do you think we're gonna get any more updates? And I'd write all these questions out. And then if I was just talking about like my day, da 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 da, and I get like a little bit blocked, and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be silence. I would look at my list and be like, "Oh, what is your favorite Animal Crossing villager?" And I'd read that out as if someone had wrote it in chat. And I was like, "What's your favorite Animal Crossing villager?" I'm like, "Oh, well, mine is Maple because I just
Yeah.
really think she's so cute and this, blah, 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 blah." And it's kind of like a prompt for me to just start talking. It's like a talking point
Yeah.
essentially. And then eventually, my talking point actually that got my first viewer, well, I don't know if it was my first viewer, but my first follower.
Yeah.
I remember the moment clear as day. And this person actually still comes in to this day, my heart.
Amazing.
Aquarius 22, you're a ledge. So I was sitting down and I was on my couch. I was on my jank setup. I had like the jankest setup. I was on a MacBook Pro in my living room on my couch. I had like my mic stand, which was like my gigging mic into it was like the most complex jank setup of my life. And I was playing using my TV as my monitor. And they came in and they were like talking to me. And I was like, do you want to see my disc? And I like got my disc and I showed them and I was talking to them and then they followed me and I was like, oh my gosh, you're my first follower. Thank you so much. Da, da, da. It was like, it was such a special moment for me. And I've never like forgotten it. But I think just like constantly having that stream of consciousness, it makes you just kind of, I don't know. I'm so comfortable doing what I'm doing. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I know what you mean because
I
like
don't do something I don't want to do. I
yeah.
just I'm there because I wanna be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to do this as well, you need to be like a people person or have like an element of that because it's like you say, I think that having those prompts for yourself back then was probably like a great thing because yourself, there's nothing more daunting than like a quiet chat. Sometimes you're thinking, okay, how do I fill the silence here? What
Mhm.
do I do? Do I just start? And what I think is like one of the greatest things about you as well as a streamer, I think, is the fact that you do take your time to read every single chat message that comes through, like, make
Thank you.
everybody feel involved, things like that. And I definitely think that's one thing that is like massive for viewer retention. Because I know for a fact, like for me personally, the one thing I like about streamers is their interactivity and like how welcoming they are. And I definitely think that's something that you've got like nailed down as a streamer yourself.
Thank you. I feel like it's not something that I, like, rehearsed into myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But it might be a hot take, but I just think if you're not gonna read your chat, don't be live.
I completely
Go on
agree.
YouTube.
I
Like,
completely agree.
that's the difference between YouTube and being live is that there is a live chat.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna ignore them, what? It just does not compute in my mind.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like sometimes there's people get bigger and you can't see everything, but like I've got tools that filter that. Like for example, I've got like a chat system, like a chat bot that I use. And what it does is it filters the messages for me. And what it breaks it up so it's more visible for me. So
Yeah.
when there's a new when someone comes in, when someone sends their first message of the day, it highlights for me in blue. So I see their message and I know they are here for the first time today. I can say welcome on in because
Yeah.
that's very important to me. I've got a list off to the side and it also highlights all those messages for me so then I can like look back after I've like done a bit of chat and then I look back and I make sure that I've like said hi to everyone. I can use it for a raid when raids come in. I can go like
Yeah.
everyone that's new from that raid, boom, 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 boom. Let me go back to chat and I'll scroll back up. And I know sometimes we get a little bit like we sometimes miss it and sometimes our brain goes like this, but there are ways of filtering chat.
Yeah.
Like you can filter chat like in programs where if it's just a message with an emoji, it doesn't come through and it goes to a separate list.
Yeah.
Or if you know what I mean, if it has like keywords, it can filter through. Like you can put your mods messages in a different color so you can like really like pick them out. But there's ways of managing bigger chat. You just got to want to do it.
100%.
And one of the main reasons why I wanted to go onto Twitch as well, it wasn't like the reason wasn't money. It was more so I lost that connection. Like when I was at gigs, I'd be singing and then there'd be someone there and they'd clap and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're not from Australia." And then I like go talk to them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm from the States, da 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 da. I'm over here visiting. It's awesome. Why is no one clapping?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, this is all it's the way it is in Australia. We don't clap." And then like it was such a cool experience to meet so many like
Yeah.
people with different lives because I love traveling and I feel like when I moved overseas, it opened my eyes. I feel like travel does something to you. If you haven't traveled, do it. It just it opens your eyes. I don't know, it just unlocks something in your brain.
Yeah.
Um, and I crave that interaction and I absolutely love it. And Twitch gave that to me when I first started streaming. Obviously, like I didn't have I didn't I wasn't affiliated for a whole month. I couldn't get 3 average viewers for a whole month. Um, and yeah, like it took time, but it's given me so many it's connected me. Like, how would we have ever crossed paths?
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Just randomly one day on TikTok seeing you streaming Mario 64. That was
It's just
literally,
wild.
yeah, like yeah, it's very much as you say, like, you know, you're doing a gig and you come across somebody from who is like traveled over from somewhere across the world. Like this in essence isn't that much different because like you say, you know, how would we have ever come across paths? Like everybody who is watching live on Twitch right now, same thing. Like
Yeah.
everybody from it's like an absolute like global stage, but it's like brings people together based on shared interests. And like I do think it's like a beautiful thing in that sense.
I just think it's so fantastic. And pretty much Twitch is those interactions that I would have at my streams on
Hmm.
steroids. It's just like, boom, so many people that I wouldn't have met, even in Australia,
Yeah.
that have like literally become core people in my life, like Logan, like
Yeah, of
literally
course.
Logan. I wouldn't have like, I don't even know where I would have been if I didn't go on TikTok. And then Logan had like the first day came in and was like, "I'll help you with this." Like, and everyone came in, like half of the people in here right now were the people that helped me do a BLJ for the very first time. You know what I mean? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I completely went off tangent with the
No, no,
question,
not at all.
but
No, like I mean, if anything, it was probably better than I could have hoped for.
yeah,
But
I don't
just
even remember the original question.
um, it did kind of trail off. But you know what? That's what this is all about. It's 100%. So I'm just curious, actually, as well. So you've obviously been doing Twitch a hell of a lot longer. How long has it been on TikTok? TikTok now? Has it been? Have you hit the 12-month mark, or is it like just not
I'm
quite?
a baby. I'm only 10 months,
10 months. Okay,
maybe
well,
9,
but
10 months. I started at the end of October.
even still, but like, you know, your growth on TikTok has been like exponential. Like you were able to go live right from the get-go, and obviously your growth has helped. Like, do you think like doing it separately from Twitch has helped? Like, and have you brought over a lot of your following from Twitch onto TikTok, or is it like two separate things altogether?
I think they're two separate things altogether, and definitely there's obviously crossover.
Hmm.
But I do like to think of them as two separate entities because the culture's different
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
on both of them. And I also just because it's so important to me for the chat interaction, I could not manage two separate chats, and TikTok Studio has not got the capacity to merge chat. I wouldn't go there.
I
I just
don't blame you.
wouldn't touch it. And also I use TikTok as a different platform. I can play stuff that is a bit faster, a bit more just out of like what I would normally do on Twitch.
Yeah.
And then I get to like do my speed runs, and I get to just like do supermarket simulator at the moment. I'm obsessed with that at the moment.
It's
But
such a good
I get
game.
to
Oh my
just
God.
oh, it's so addictive.
So good.
Oh, I gotta go play my store. But I'm just I get so I get to I just it's so different, but it's nice.
Mm.
And I like it for what it is. I wouldn't think of merging the
Mm.
two.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Because like I do think like it is. I think the way you have your schedule down is like I think it's like it's pretty impressive. Like you have your Twitch stream, so it's like literally 1 or 2 in the morning my time, and then I'll like go to sleep and then wake up a few hours later. Then I see you on on TikTok like for the night as well. So yeah, no, but I think the fact that you treat them differently, you do two separate things on both, and treat them both like two separate sets of viewership, like fair play. Like I think that's something that probably like a lot of people would struggle with, but obviously you seem to have it down.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out what I exactly want to be doing on TikTok, and I'm still trying to like figure out the what games I want to be doing on there. Like I
Hmm.
definitely want to have speed runs. I love my speed runs.
Yeah.
But we're in a little bit of a toxic relationship right now.
I
Mario,
I feel that.
Mario and I fighting.
Feel that.
Um, but yeah, I guess this like leans into I do what I feel.
Yeah.
I don't like I don't like doing things that I'm not 100% heart.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's a reason why I've kind of been able to like I've been very lucky to not experience burnout, which is a really common thing for streamers.
Oh,
But
big
I
time.
think it's because I'm so like I will not. It's like such a core thing to me that I will not do something I don't enjoy. Like if I
Yeah.
don't enjoy it, it's not serving me. It's gone.
Yeah. Of course.
Like it's changing, it's going to evolve, get ready, you're leveling up. Like it's just if I'm not for it, I'm not doing it. Um and I think that like that perspective is just it's very helpful in a
Oh,
streaming space.
absolutely. So just on that, in terms of like, not doing anything you don't fully believe in. So with your Twitch streams, like a lot of them in the past have been like sponsored streams to like play like certain
Mhm.
games. So are you in a position where somebody approaches you and be like, oh yes, we would like you to play this game, this, that, and the other, here's the agreement. Are you in a position where you can be like, no, I don't really want to do this. I don't believe in this. It's not me. And do you feel like you can pick and choose if people approach you what you can do?
100%. The only two companies that I've actually done sponsored stuff. Actually, no, there's the two main ones I do is Elgato
Hmm.
and Disney Dreamlight Valley, and they're ones that I've sought out myself.
Yeah.
I did do a embargoed stream for Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and they sent me that box that's right behind me with all the personalized stuff.
Yes.
I did do that. Um, and I have done one for Harvestella, which was another one that was awesome. So with those ones, I think like for me, I have such a like when I started streaming, I established what my vision was. And whenever someone asks me for advice, I always say, what is your why?
Yeah.
What's your vision? And what's your core values? Like really dig deep. That is going to answer all your questions.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down, it's gonna help you, it's gonna be like your compass on your streaming journey. And for me, one of my main things is that I'm live for so many hours. I used to be live maybe 17, 16 hours a day. It was ridiculous at one point
Wow.
because it went from like 12 hours. It started with 4, then it went to 5, then it went to 6, then it slipped to 8, and then it slipped to 9. And I was like, oh, well, if I wait like an extra hour, then I can raid my friend who's going to start at 10. All right, we'll go to 10 hours. Oh, just one more level, 12. And then it just got ridiculous. Like I would start my stream at like 10, 11 a.m. and I'd be finishing at 4 a.m. And I was like, all right, going to bed, starting again. And it was ridiculous, but I was loving it
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be sitting there going, "What's the time? What's the time?" It would just be like, "Oh crap, it's 4 a.m. I should sleep." So I would do that kind of thing. But one thing that's been crucial to me is that I always like I'm not a pretender. I'm also a really bad liar. So and my face, I'm not never play poker with me. You'll just take all my money. 'Cause, you can see I'm an open book in that sense, and it's really hard for me because I'm such an emotional person
Yeah.
to even mask that. So that's exhausting. So throw that out the window. I'm not going to pretend to be someone else for 17 hours a day.
Totally fair.
No thanks. That does not sound fun. I'm just gonna be me, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. We don't like everyone in this world. So yeah, I do that. And one of my core things, especially when I approach companies, one of my things that I'm so proud of is my authenticity.
Yep.
And if someone asks me something, I will dissect it and I'll give them my full opinion. Like if someone comes in and goes, "Hey, can you give me a game recommendation?" I'm like, "I can't give you a game recommendation. What kind of games do you play
Yeah.
normally? Like I need context. What kind of games do you enjoy? Because the thing is what I enjoy is not what you enjoy." And then they can give me context and I go, "Oh, okay, so you've played Minecraft. Okay, and you play at Minecraft, you play Sims, you play a lot of like open world kind of games. All right, maybe this is going to be okay for you in this sense, but it's going to be and I can explain like the design of the game through
Yeah.
that. And if it's a game that I enjoyed, I can be like, "Look, I loved this, this, this." Like for example, if you ask me, "What do you think of Banjo-Kazooie?" I love Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie 2, Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah.
Don't like it as much as the original. I love the fact that it has like the collectathon thing. I think the backtracking was too much.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I hate
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie. But I'm gonna tell them it's a slog if you're a completionist. And I'm just honest about like how I feel about games. I'm like, eh. Like even when I
Yeah.
was playing the ROM hacks, I was like, "No, I can't do this one. This one's dumb." Like
100%.
I will give them like I'm just genuine about that. So when companies approach me, another thing that I'm very, very mindful of is when they come up to me and they like go, "Hey, can you do this?" Blah 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 blah. If I'm interested in the game, I'm like, "Okay, what are your terms? Like, what
Yeah.
deliverables do you need?" And then I go, "What deliverables do you need?" Just make a note. I do not read from scripts. So like you have to be confident. And like if they come back saying, "Oh, we want you to read a script," I'm like, "No, you should be confident enough in your product
Yeah.
that I'm going to enjoy your game when I play it."
Absolutely.
Because you've done your research and you go, Tegan plays a lot of Zelda games. Okay, well, this game, as our Zelda-based inspired game, she's going to love it because it has this, X, Y, Z. Not like, please read out this. You know what I mean? So if they don't have confidence in their product, if they don't have
Yeah.
confidence in their products to stand on 2 feet, I don't want to work with them. Because the thing is, I'm not a parrot. I'm not a puppet. They're not going to stick their hand up my bum and make me say words because it's not going to come out genuine on my side.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
all it's going to do is just shrek my credibility essentially. And that means a lot to me. You know what I mean? So I
100%.
don't want to sell out in that sense. And I'm always transparent about that. Yeah, I just think
Yeah.
that that's a core thing for me.
No, 100%. And like, if a company is relying on a Twitch partner with a healthy viewership to plug their product, it's like you say, then they clearly just don't have the confidence in what they're saying. It's like, "Oh yeah, we want you to say this about the game." It's just like, well, I haven't played the game yet. This game could be the biggest pile of shit I've ever played, but you want me to tell everybody you want me to blow smoke up like your arse. It's like,
No,
yeah,
I'm not
like
going to sit there and lie.
that's it. I think for things like that, like obviously I've never done anything like that, but I would say that you need to go in completely blind. They need to have the trust in what it is that they're asking of you for you to go in and be like, "Oh, I've never done this. Oh my God, this game is brilliant. Like this is everything that they've said it was.
Yep.
And I'm showing everybody here, and this is why I'm doing it." So, do you know
They're
what?
the
Fair play.
partnerships I seek.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the
And fair
partnerships I seek. And
play.
I just want to also say, people who do take those kind of partnerships and those sponsorships and stuff, no shade. No shade. Get your bank.
For
If you
sure.
like some people go, "Look, I'm doing a Raid Shadow Legends stream. Guys, if you get it down, it's gonna help me. I'm gonna get this much money. It's gonna
Yeah.
help the stream." 100% get your bag. Like that's good. I'm in a position where I'm very lucky and privileged that I have a job that pays for my cost of living and streaming is an addition on top of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a position where I have to, you know what I mean? I have to take those things. I have the luxury to pick and choose. So I'm not racking on
No,
anybody
for
who's
sure.
like who has to do that kind of stuff. Like those deals do help a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they've helped a lot of my friends as well. But it's just not me. It's not me at my core, and I recognize that. But even with like the Dreamlight Valley thing was such an organic thing. Um, Someone came into my chat, and I wonder if I can get the email up. It was such a cool email. So they came into my chat and they were chatting, and yeah, they came into my chat, and where is it? Where is it? Yes. Okay, so they came into my chat and they were talking, and I just did what I did if it was a new first time chatter. Hi,
Yeah.
how you doing? What's going on? Oh, look. And then they'll ask about the game, and I was telling them about the game, and I loved it. Finished that stream, and then I get an email. And the email goes, hey there, this is username.
Hmm.
How are you? I'm reaching out to you because even though I've told you and everyone on your stream what my middle name, height, and birthday were, I've withheld one piece of information. I work in the influencer team at Gameloft, and I'm in charge of, you guessed it, Disney Dreamlight Valley. And then they were saying, like, complimenting my community, and they were like, we'd love to send you something. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, I was so excited. And then at the time, Dreamlight Valley had a lot of what's it called? What's it like, drops and stuff. They were
Yeah.
working with larger creators with 500 like concurrent viewers upwards. And they were starting like a little mini program, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to get a part of that. Unfortunately, like it dissolved, all that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And they kind of like tightened their resources. And I was like, okay, it's probably not gonna happen. That's fine. But like I made my interest known, and I was like, hey, if you ever need anything, like I would love, like my community loved Dreamlight Valley. We love the updates. We always cover them. We're going to cover them regardless.
Yep.
Like I'm going to do it anyway. So if you want, like I'm here. And then that eventually like turned into something which was really, really cool. But I don't think if I wasn't the way that I was, that I would have had that person at Gameloft fighting for me.
Yeah.
To get that opportunity, because they saw how much I loved the game. So it's a perfect collaboration in that sense. And it's the same with the Ubisoft with the Sparks of Hope. I had that game pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And they were like, can I send you something? And would you like to do an embargoed stream? Would you like to play the game before everyone else? I was like, yeah, I want to play the game before everyone else. Hells yeah, I want to play it.
Yeah.
And hell
for
yeah, you can
sure.
send me something. Because I was already loving it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like Nintendo as well. I was trying to do like a bit of research. Like this year's been the year of kind of trying to create like network and
Yeah.
create sponsorships and like healthy working relationships with brands I love and adore, and games that I love and adore as well. And so I was like, oh, Princess Peach coming out. Come on. This is my Princess Peach cosplay. I love, like, I was like, I love it so much. I've played Nintendo my whole life. These are all my consoles. And I sent them like this big thing about how much I love them. And I was like, look, I know that you're like, and this comes back to what I said to you before. I was like, look, I know your game sells itself. Like Nintendo titles literally sell themselves.
Yep.
So I know you don't need me per se to promote your product, but I would absolutely love just the chance to collaborate with you guys and like work with you on this title. Like I would just love that opportunity. You know, Nintendo sell themselves. They don't need influencers doing anything.
Yeah.
Like the game, like they already know. They own my wallet. It's locked up in their dungeon. Like any pre-order, every time there's a Nintendo Direct, it's like, we have now secured all of Tegan's bank funds. And it's like, new Switch. Why you do this to me? But yeah, so they know, but it was really cool to work with them too. But yeah, it's very crucial for me to work with companies I absolutely adore. And Elgato is like the most recent one, and it's been a dream come true. Like I've been wanting to work with them for so long. It's been like one of my things that I've wanted to do forever, but I needed to get a few like things in a row. Like I needed to get my branding. I needed to get my branding on point. I needed to kind of finesse my video editing skills. I needed to do a bit more of like storyboarding and all that kind of stuff, and kind of scrub up on those skills so that I could present myself in the best fashion to kind of work towards that.
Of course.
And they've just been great. It's been so nice.
Yeah. And that's brilliant. The fact that like all of these things have come across so organically, you already doing the things that you love, and then all these opportunities kind of come your way as a result. And even with Nintendo, like, you know, you reaching out to them, it's just like, it just makes sense. It's like, I love this game. I cosplay anyway. Just, like, and until you ask, the answer is always no. So fair play for being able to do that. So just on touching on Elgato for a second.
Yep.
The way you announced your partnership with Elgato, that video, that video is incredible.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, well, actually, do you want to explain the video to the listeners?
So essentially, I already had so many Elgato products. And there's a trend on TikTok, looking for a man in finance, and I essentially parried it to I'm looking for a brand in streaming. And then I started listing all the different stuffs that they have, like desk mount, pedal, Elgato. And I pretty much did I got like the backing track because it's parodied over like a G6. And I did that and I cut it into like a short thing because videos are meant to be like short. And I did that. And then I just did like a little bit of I copied kind of the framing because all the videos using the man in finance, it would just be like frame, frame, frame. So I did that, but I did that for Elgato and all their products that I already had. And yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah, because
They give me so much creative liberty. It's the best thing ever. Like, I'm so excited.
Because what
Like,
I
do you want to
like
see
about
something that came today?
yeah, sure, go for it.
That's going to be in my next video.
Getting the wee exclusive right here.
You are getting an exclusive. You are.
No way. That is
It's like,
awesome.
what product is she going to? What product is she going to feature with that?
Amazing. Because that, and like on top of that, like your Shrek green screen video as well, that was incredible. So like I
so
love the
fun.
fact that like that partnership alone, it's opened up so many more things, even like just to do for fun and to like be as creative as you naturally are, to just make these kinds of content. Just like, well, I can do this. I have the equipment. I can do this. So actually, just touching on like that Elgato video that you made. So obviously you combined another one of your skills into that. So like, because on top of streaming, by trade you are like a trained singer and dancer. So in comparison to that versus streaming, what would you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself to be like a streamer as your main trade, or are you like an entertainer as your main trade, or both? So what can you tell us then about, your music, dancing, entertainment career from the start to the present day, and like it's sort of how it's intertwined with your streams?
I don't consider myself either. I think when I'm streaming, I'm a streamer. When I'm singing, I'm a singer. But at the end of the day, I'm Tegan. And
fair.
these things like when it comes to creative endeavors, it's like another limb.
Yeah.
So my singing is a way of expressing myself and a way of like communicating and connecting with people. And I think also streaming is that as well as an escape. I just feel like it's more than just simply stream. I feel like streaming doesn't encompass
Yeah, of
what
course.
that gives to me. Like, because I'm gaming, I'm connecting with people, I'm escaping from maybe whatever negativity maybe might be happening in my head that day. Like,
Of
so it's
course.
therapeutic. It's just like it's a creative outlet. I'm just being myself, and I don't know. I don't know if I would consider myself either.
Yeah, that's
Like,
fair.
you can put a label on and call me that when I'm doing it, but I'm just quoting Barbie. I'm just kidding. I'm just Tegan. Like, I do what I do.
No,
Like,
I love that. That's,
it's
that's
me.
such an organic, amazing, genuine answer, because like you're not letting yourself be defined by the things you do. You just are you, and you do what you do, and that's incredible.
I think it comes from something like just like the way that I am as like a person as well. Um, I don't really like labels. I feel like labels are very restrictive.
Fair.
And I think I don't have you ever read the book The Little Prince?
No.
I would implore you to read that book. It's my
Yeah.
favorite book. It's very small, but it talks about perspective, and it frames it in a really nice way. Like, this man, he crashes in a plane into the desert, and he's recounting his tale of it, and he meets this little prince. It's actually written in French first. It's been translated. Le Petit Prince. But the first page, it starts off and it's like, um, when I was young, I wanted to be an artist. So I drew a picture and I showed my parents and they said, "Why did you draw a hat?" And he was like, "No, that's a snake that ate an elephant." So then he goes back and he redraws his picture and he puts the little like hat, little like snake, and then he draws the elephant inside and he shows them. And they still roll their eyes at it. And so he goes, and so I gave up on being an artist at the age of 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he goes, so I apologize that in this book my illustrations might not be okay, might be okay because I was told from a young age that I will never be an artist. So I went to school and I became a pilot. So it kind of frames it from that perspective, and it talks and it highlights the things that we do as adults,
Yeah.
and kids and stuff. And it kind of goes like it's about like loving your inner child in a sense.
Mhm.
And it frames it as like he goes to all these like Little Prince. He's telling this man about all the different planets he's been to and all the people he's met, and he's in love with his rose, like this rose. He's in love with this rose, and he's trying to figure out how to make her happy. And they are saying like what makes like it's talking about like why is this rose more important than this one? It's
Yeah.
because we've imprinted on it. It's the time that we spent with our rose that makes the rose special. Um, that's like it talks about like those bonds and connections and stuff. And there's a man that they meet, the accountant man, the man who just loves numbers, and he sits there and there was one like part in there, and it was like adults always want to talk in figures. They go, "How old are you? How much do you earn?
Mhm.
What do you do for a job?" They never ask deeper questions. And I feel like once I read that book, it kind of opened my eyes to kind of, I don't know, have a bit more of an understanding and not have these labels.
Yeah.
It's more so like, I want to know who you are at the essence. Sure, you can say that you work at McDonald's, but like that doesn't define you.
Of course.
What defines you is the interactions we have and the way you think and who you are at the core. And I think a lot of people get surface level with their connections, but they don't go underneath. And I don't know, that's just like an important thing to me. And I guess that's why I don't really like labels per se, because I feel like labels are so shallow
Yeah, of
compared to the
course.
real thing underneath.
No, that's a bit. I'll definitely have to check that book out. Like that sounds incredible, and definitely like such an eye opening thing. Like like just to go back, it's like you are just you, and you do things that you do. Like that's I think that's incredible. Because I think it's good in this sort of world to put as much of yourself into what you do, just so then that authenticity is there. So like people aren't watching you and think, oh, this is so superficial. This isn't really who this person is. This that sort of you're just being you, and that's what people are there for, of course.
But even like I know it sounds really bad, but like forgetting about the anyone who's watching you, you've got to be happy with what you're doing
Yeah,
yourself.
of
If
course.
you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it?
True.
Like if you're putting on a front, who are you performing for?
Hmm.
Like I don't know, at the end of the day you need to be completely happy within yourself and what you're doing.
Yep.
And then if you're enjoying yourself, you will attract like-minded people, and then they become the community, and it just becomes this beautiful thing of
Yeah.
like growth rather than like because I don't know, I feel like it needs to start from you,
Yeah.
and then
hundred
the rest
percent.
happens.
100%. Like even just like in a sort of taking away like streaming and content creation all aside, in terms of just your own life, you need to look out for yourself because no one else is going to do it until you have to be the one to look after yourself before you can worry about other people's perceptions of you. Because if people can see that you're not enjoying what you're doing or that you're not happy within yourself, that will radiate and people will just be like, okay, well, that's this person has issues. I don't want to be around this person, sort of thing. Like
Yeah,
it
I can feel something's off.
yeah, exactly. But no, that's incredible. Like I think that's as genuine an answer as like I think I could have got for that. So
Thank you.
just like rolling back to then your musical entertainment sort of side, like
Hmm.
what was like the beginning of that? Like, have you always been like that sort of into like sort of singing, dancing, everything? Like, what was your journey of that? Because I remember you telling me before this that you're professionally trained in that. So how did like all this kind of come about?
I have been dancing since I was 2. I was taken
Oh
to
wow.
Mummy and Me, and I danced and trained my whole life up until 2014. So that would have been from 1997 to 2014. I went to
Oh
the dance
wow.
school every single week, um, multiple days. I pretty much grew up at that dance center. I got my like teaching certificate in tap and jazz. I got my teaching diploma in jazz. And that's why I went over to Hong Kong to teach dance and stuff like that. And then from there, I got the contract at Disney, where I was a dancer there for 2 years. And
Amazing.
then while I was there, I did an online audition for Celebrity Cruises, and I went as a singer dancer, and I worked on that contract for, I think it was 6 months on board, 2 months in Miami before.
Oh
And then
wow.
that's when I went back to Australia. But I've always done it. I've always sung and danced. Like at
Mm-hmm.
my dancing, we do like song and dance kind of thing. But I also went to in Brisbane, Griffith University. I went to university when I was 12
Wow.
for like the young con, they called it. Like so I went there for like singing. So I went to college at 12. No. But yeah, no, I went there for like music stuff, and that was also amazing. And I was always doing like singing competitions. I do my solos
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. So I've always just done it. It's always been a part of me. I don't remember a time when I wasn't singing or dancing. It's
Ah,
just that's me.
that's
Again,
awesome.
it just becomes a limb. It's who I am.
Yeah. Because what I like about it as well is that, you implement that in some ways into your streaming and your content and stuff. Like the amount of times I've seen during your streams where you've like randomly broke into song, things like that. And
Oh, that is just me.
yeah, I think that's
I don't
brilliant.
even know I do it now.
That's it. It's
It's
just a
just me.
natural part, just like breaking out into song, and it's just like I think it's cool. And I know that you, not so much recently, but you've live streamed some of your gigs as well, which like I think is a lot of fun. Like I think it's nice for people to kind of see that other side of you, like rather if you're on TikTok, people know you as like you're gaming on TikTok. So like just people kind of seeing that little bit of extra behind the scenes. So so with your like you do your gigs and stuff like so it's like are you in like a band, or is it like are you just like a singer with a band? What's the sort of like background behind that? Like
I'm currently restructuring that at the moment,
ah
but so I have a brand and band called So Fresh Live.
mm,
And essentially, I'm in the process of rebranding because my partner and I at the time were the faces of that,
I see.
but now it's just me. And then I'm gonna bring in some other people. So we're gonna do some new promo stuff
Mm,
and update everything. But essentially, I'm like when you hear So Fresh Live, it's my voice that is gonna be singing.
yes.
And then I'll be accompanied by musicians. So yeah, that's kind of like that's me.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what it is.
that's pretty cool. Well, I look forward to seeing like more of that in the future as well once you restructure and happens. So I'm sure that's like exciting
Thank
as
you.
well in that sense, like being able to just you have what you have right now, and then obviously you're restructuring this, but obviously you're doing that with like a goal in mind, like kind of knowing roughly what you want to do with it. So like I'm surely that's like an exciting little project as well, because like it is a big part of something that you do like within your life and always has been.
100%. I
Yeah.
always have goals for everything. Like, I think mini goals are always really good, like little milestones to work towards. I think that's always like I know that people sometimes have major milestones,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's very healthy to have mini ones in
Yeah.
between.
Absolutely.
Just so you're always taking a step up the stair, because sometimes people go from the bottom of the staircase to the top of the staircase, and you can't jump from there to there. You have to take the little steps in between.
Yeah.
So, like for example,
100%.
at the beginning of the year was me going, okay, I want to focus on branding. I want to work with Nintendo. I want to work with Elgato. Like, there's a video literally of me on the first of January or whatever it was. Whenever I did my first stream of the year, I was like, guys, I'm putting my intentions out. I want to work with Nintendo. I want to work with Dreamlight Valley. I want to work with Elgato. I want to work with Rode. I can't work with Rode now, but um, like there's all these different things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to connect with people, and those goals I've been hitting them bit by bit. But like it wasn't just like I want to work with Elgato.
Yeah.
That wasn't like there was many goals in between that. There was develop, develop the skill, find the contact, go from
Yeah.
that, da da
Of
da da da.
course.
You know what I mean? And there's many different things that go in there. Make a media kit. There's all these different little milestones that
Yep.
kind of you can kind of go through.
Yeah.
Um,
Just like a
yeah.
little, like having like a little to-do list in order to get to that goal. Like, it's like, okay, I've done this. Okay, this is next. This is next. And ultimately, like it all just comes together. And like, obviously, you've kind of proven that it has, because you've reached those goals at this point of the year, which is
Thank you.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, yeah, rolling back here. So your schedule is absolutely, I don't really know how to describe it. It's crazy. Like I mentioned
It's
before,
something.
I I see you streaming like twice a day. I like, oh, you have your Twitch stream, and then you have your TikTok stream, and then I guess the best way to describe it, in between, you just human for a few hours.
I human. I do.
And then you have that on top of like your musical endeavors. So like, what measures do you take to avoid burnout? And say you're like having like a bad time, like in your own head or something, like what measures do you take just to kind of like, how do you know when to like step back and just be like, okay, I need to just completely recharge? Like, yeah, what goes through your head then?
So I'm a person that just I think it's really important to just realize that you're not that it's okay to not be okay. Like
Of course.
that's one of the actually we're doing one of our level up campaigns that we're doing right now for Reach Out Australia. But it's okay to not be okay. Like for example, I'm actually going to use today as an example.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good day today. I was midstream. I was already kind of on edge. Um, I hadn't slept much, so that was already a bad foundation. I hadn't
Yeah.
slept much, and I got on stream. I got a message, and I really don't like checking messages on stream, but I got like it was a few messages from the same person, and I looked at it, and it just threw my mood completely.
Yeah.
I was just boom, like I couldn't think of anything else. I was worried. It just like I was like I and I recognized in myself I can't be I don't I like, at that moment up until that moment, I was loving it. I was playing a ROM hack, I
hmm
was having the best time, and then that happened, and I was just like, "I can't be here.
Yeah.
I can't be here. I can't be live." Like, my mind was thinking about that, I was missing chat messages. I was just like, "Nope," and I was like, "Guys, I'm gonna end. I'm going, like, I'm sorry, like, I just need time." Boom, I was like, "This happened." Like, I read a message, I'm worried, I need to just my
Yeah.
mind can't focus, and I think that's just comes from self-awareness of just knowing what my limit is and just being honest with that, and I'm just like, "Guys, I need this time," and then I pretty much turned off and I just laid under my anxiety blanket. I had a shower because like, showers really, like, they help me with like,
Yeah.
my anxiety around that kinda stuff, and I just kinda laid there, and I just, like, lost time, just, like, lying there and just kind of just, centering myself.
Yeah. Of course.
Um, and then I got up and, I got up, I did my makeup because 'cause I'd had a
Mm.
shower, I did my makeup, and I, like, sat down and I started to watch some streams and get on my Dreamlight Valley and just kind of, like, ease myself back into it,
Yeah.
and I've just kind of I process my thoughts and, like, process my feelings and, and then I'm good. Like, I think just being completely honest with yourself and just realizing and pulling yourself up and going, "Look, don't you don't want to be here right now. Like you
Yeah.
might love streaming, but this is not good for you right now. It's not serving you. Change it." And that's one of like the things that I keep saying. If something's not serving me in that time, I'm changing it.
Yeah. Of course.
And it's a thing. Like of course I'd love to have been live longer, but
Yeah.
my brain won't let me. I know that my brain won't let me. I would be sitting there thinking over and over again. I'd be missing chat messages, and then I'd start being like, "You suck as a streamer because you're missing chat messages. I'm letting everyone down. I'm making people upset." Because people, when they come in, they don't know that I'm going through something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They just know that I missed their message, and I just feel guilty that way. So I was just like, "Nope, I'm not going to like go into a spiral. I am just going to go process and come back." And
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. I think that's a very like healthy way to deal with it. It's like you say, it's like having that self-awareness, um, and essentially to not let things snowball. Because
Mhm.
anybody who's ever streamed will know, like, if something throws you off, then something else will then continue to throw you off. Like you say, like you get this message, then that's all you can think about. Then you're missing chat, and then that kind of things. And then what's it going to be next? It's like the game that you're playing, like does that goes to shit, and then that kind of becomes frustrating. And then it's
And then
like,
a first time chatter comes in and you normally deal with kindness and they're being a troll and then you get really cranky at them,
yeah,
and then
like
you feel bad for snapping and it's
hmm it
a
does
big
just
thing.
absolutely snowball, and then everything, and then it gets to the point where you're lying there and you're like, so like, just pissed off, frustrated, upset, and you're kind of thinking, I can't even get my head straight as to why this is, what caused this. I just, so it's definitely a good thing to just, as and when these things happen, deal with it in whatever way you do best. And like you said, like, I mean, the way you did it, I think is an incredibly healthy way to deal with these things. Just, nip it in the bud then and there, so that you don't find it just kind of like escalates into something more than.
Don't let it fester.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like,
Yep.
that's what you find. Like, sometimes it can. I mean, streaming itself it's an overwhelming thing, and like obviously you stream a lot of hours of the day over on the two different platforms, and I think you've a very good balance between the two. You're able to kind of deal with a lot, and see out your streams all the way, and I think it's admirable, the fact that you're able to do that and like deal with it, like, because like, how would you deal with like trolls, especially on TikTok? Because we all know what TikTok's like. TikTok is like, as good as it is, the chats can be an absolute fucking cesspool. It is bad.
Yeah. But there are gems. There are gems.
There are 100%, but I think
it depends. It depends on my tolerance of the day.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, with TikTok, I'm a little bit, because of the culture of it, how it's very like pass and go.
Yeah.
If it's someone that I have a rapport with, I'm obviously going to be a bit more delicate with like establishing a boundary. I'll be more likely to establish a boundary. Like on Twitch, I'm very like, I try and understand, and I'm like, okay, you didn't know. Here's my boundary.
Of course.
But like with TikTok, you can't be like that because the chat's already gone at that point.
Yeah.
So it just depends, I guess, how much tolerance I have on that day. And I guess sometimes when we get a troll like that, I'll ignore it, and mods will just catch it.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I'm really at the end of like my wits, I'll go them. I'll go them and then ban them, and then I'll probably then go, okay, I need to go to bed. Like when I don't have when I don't have a tolerance, then I'm like, okay, I need to send myself to bed. I'm tired.
Do you ever just like sometimes try to just mess with them, like just keep them going, and just like you're kind of like not giving them the reaction that you want, but like you're just egging them on, frustrating them, and just to the point where you're just like, nah, sayonara?
No, because you're giving them what they want. You're giving them a reaction. I feel like the best way to deal with trolls is to not give them a reaction. That's why in my Twitch chat specifically, because it's a bit more like, like it's a bit more like established there.
Of course, yeah.
I make sure I like to say like, do not interact. Do not, if someone comes in, don't even go, oh my God, that's such a gross message, because you've given them the reaction. Of course. Or you do let the mods clean up, take out the trash, and we just act as business. Then they won't come back. They just go. They go. Because they're going, look what she has to say. Ready? And you just edge them. And I think that's the best thing, because then you can like, once they're gone, and they're like, and then like later on you can be like, check what this guy said. And then you can kind of go on it. But I think the best reaction is no reaction, especially when it comes to a troll, because the reason that they are trolling is to get a reaction. So
of course.
I feel like that's just like such a spiteful response to just not respond.
Of course. No, that's fair.
Except, okay, actually, I've just seen chat, but except for when if that's only if it's like playful and towards me. If someone is attacking someone in my chat, like someone that isn't me, I get a little bit more aggressive.
I think it's like very important to like protect your community, because like I think as a streamer, it's like people can get away with saying like more to you as a streamer, because like it's down to you to deflect that and deal with that. Because you're the, like, as a streamer, you're the one on the screen putting yourself out there. So like, it's almost to be like expected at times, right? Which is the sort of sad reality of it sometimes. But when it's somebody in your chat, like, it's like, it's just like, like they haven't done anything. No one's done anything, but it's just like, no, leave the chat alone. Like if you're going to say something to me, I'll deal with it my way. But don't like attack people who are just in chat, just trying to enjoy themselves, because you don't know what they're going through either. Like one thing I just love to keep them going, but like someone will say something in my chat and I'm just like, kind of, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? Like what happened in your life that led you to this moment for you to say this to a stranger on the internet? Just really kind of like, yeah, exactly. Just really make them like question like what has happened in their life, just really kind of like, just make it existential for them. Now, 90% of the
Hmm.
time they don't give a shit and they don't really respond or anything, but still
Yeah.
it's just like
Not Man of
a
Steel.
Man of Steel. I know he's so Man of Steel. So for those who don't know, for those listening, watching, Man of Steel is a very, very popular troll within the Mario 64 realm on Twitch.
Uh, that's
And he
just
will come
Twitch in
in.
general.
Yeah, well, that's true. And he will always come out with something. Do you know what? It's like a luck of the draw with what he comes out with. He will, because sometimes he'll say something and you'll look at it and think, I admire the creativity. And then other times he'll just say something downright cancelable, and it's just like, no, get the fuck out of my stream right now. Oh my god. I think so. I think as well. So like his username is always like it's Man of Steel, and then it always has like
With
a
numbers.
number. Yeah, the numbers after it. I am convinced that that is the number of accounts that he has had,
Oh yeah,
and that has been
100%.
banned. And I think he's on nearly 5,000.
Yep.
You've gotta love the commitment to the bit, but it's like, at what point do you just think, mate, like, just fucking sort it out, like.
Yeah.
And I get them on
It's half
TikTok as
human.
well, like yeah, like and I think TikTok is like arguably worse because it's like full of like younger people, and like to go back to like what we were talking about earlier, like for example, Call of Duty voice chats back in the day.
Yes.
It's basically like, kids of that age reliving that, and as like, adults in our 20s and 30s, it's like you look back and think, oh my god, you can't say things like that, even though that was like the done thing
Hmm.
back then. It doesn't make it any better, but like I sometimes, like, depends. I think for a troll it depends, for me personally, on what they say, because sometimes it can just be entertaining. Like
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm a big fan of creativity, and if they come off with something like really, really creative, I'll just have to kind of be like, do you know what?
Respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I feel that. That's good.
Yeah. So just step back from streaming, gaming, media, and all that for
Mhm,
just one moment.
mhm,
I asked this question to everybody who appears on this. So taking all this aside, what are your hobbies and
okay.
interests outside of this? So like say you have a day off
Oh my
away from
god.
your phone, computer, what does a day in the life of Teegstah consist of?
Honestly, like, because I do what I love, I pretty much do stuff to kinda support that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always have to have a clean house, so
Yeah.
I have to, like, clean up my space before I can do anything. But I do enjoy cosplaying, I love doing, like, video editing, I love doing photography, like, I love doing all that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, pretty much I do like, I'll catch up on my Discord, I'll do some achievement hunting, like, everything I do because I enjoy it, it's just like I have, like, a list that I'm just constantly going through, and I'm just kinda
Yeah.
just cycling through, and it's always fun. Like, even when I went on holiday, I, went up to Fraser Island, or Kagari, and I went up with my family, and we've been going there for years. I went up there, it's the world's largest sand island, it's World
Oh,
Heritage,
amazing.
and, it's gorgeous. But you know what I did while I was up there? I did some puzzles, I like puzzles, but
Mm.
I had my laptop there, and I was going through all my clips that have ever been clipped on my thing and editing it into a, like, I think it was, like, an hour or something long, like, compilation. Like, I
Yeah.
was editing it into a compilation, I was going through every single clip. I think there was over, like, 3,000 clips,
Oh
and I was
wow.
just watching them going, "Yep, I want that. Nope, don't want that. That is a," I'm like, and I was organizing, "That's a jump scare. That's a skill issue. That's a jank." Like, and I was literally just sorting them out, and that's what I was doing when I was up there, and that was therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's totally fair. Like I think it goes back to like being what you're doing like on the camera is
Mm,
you're putting like a lot of yourself into that, and like it is one of them things where it genuinely doesn't stop. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that when you do this, there is like a ton of admin that goes into that. So sometimes like when you have your days off, you kind of have to use that to catch up, and it is great like going back and looking through
streaming
your
is the
clips. And
easiest time.
exactly. Oh, streaming is, and even that, it can be mentally and physically exhausting as well. Like, I'm actually amazed that you are in as good spirits as you are, considering you had 17 hours or 17 and a half hours, was it last night?
Yep,
17 and a
17 and
half
a half
hours,
hours,
which by the
4 and a
way,
half hours sleep, got back up and did it again.
Which, by the way, what you were doing was absolutely incredible. Like your
Thank
charity
you.
stream, like absolutely incredible. So, so admirable. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I
Um,
can't take the credit. The
no,
community.
but still,
Community just go wild.
you put all that on. You made all that happen. Like you can't take
Thank
that away
you.
from yourself. You know.
Thank you.
But yeah, like it is one of them things. Like, and because I love asking people that question because it almost kind of like people are just kind of like, oh my god, am I going to sound boring here? Because this is my hobby. This is what I do. Like outside of this, it's just like, you know what? Fine, you just
Hmm.
that's totally fair. Like, I think people like kind of almost get like a bit awkward about answering it because they don't want it to seem as though like this consumes um like their life, but it's a big part of it. It's like if you're just doing what you enjoy and like you're taking the time away from, because how many hours a day you stream, consider that, you then have that time back to catch up on everything in terms of like your media and content. Like, and I think that essentially like creates a healthy balance, especially when you're away
Hmm.
on holiday somewhere, you're away enjoying nice weather at the same time. I think you're just, yeah, it's you're stepping away from the kind of the craziest part of it to just go
Yeah.
and relax and just kind of catch up on everything. I think that's yeah, that's fair. And brilliant.
Thank you.
That was so good. So yeah, so uh just want to round off then here. So
Mhm,
so the rise you've had over the last few years, you've been streaming on
mhm.
Twitch for the last 4 years, TikTok nearly one, you know. I'm sure this has been like an incredible experience for you and everything you're doing. And I'm sure like at times it can be like overwhelming. Now, considering
Yeah.
how far that you've come, so if you look back to yourself 4 years ago when you started, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were starting out?
I feel like, and this is going to, it's not meant to come across in any way, shape,
No,
or
no, no,
form
no.
as like being egotistical,
Do
but
not
I do
worry.
feel like I feel like I've done a lot of things right in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of just having that self-awareness kind of guiding me and I haven't fallen victim to a lot of pitfalls that
Yeah.
streamers usually get. Like you normally have like big dramas. I haven't had any big dramas. Mod Jenkinings, like I haven't had that, massive cancellations, burnout. Like I haven't fallen into any of those pitfalls. There is one thing that I will say I probably should have done is some research on the platform that I was coming onto.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had never watched a Twitch chat. I'd never been in a Twitch chat. And I was taking advice from like blind, I was blindly following advice. And my first bit of advice was, okay, so you need follower for follower mode, and I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna drop your Twitch link in everyone's chat.
Mm-hmm.
um, while you're live so people can come. So as if anyone knows, that is like Twitch etiquette 101. Do not. That's like how to get yourself banned. And also, um, follow for follow doesn't work.
No.
And I'm very lucky for the like for like all the people that did follow me before I had like when I had that on. I didn't realize because it just wasn't framed to me in the right way. And if I had just like taken a step back and tried to understand the platform before and the culture, like I just didn't understand the culture before I went on it.
Yeah.
Um, so then I could see how would slot into it. But as soon as I realized, I took it off completely. And I would never put it back on. But I think maybe just do a little bit more research into the platform that I was going into, and the culture that would have made me miss because I don't know who I've potentially like turned away. Because if I had just literally gone to stream chats, like I know for me, my personal preference is if you have follow only mode on, I am not following you. Like I'm probably not going to interact with you because I want to chat with you first before I want.
Yeah, of
I want to
course. Of
know if I
course.
actually vibe with you. And if you're going and like I won't raid into anyone that like this is just personal preference, but I won't
Yeah.
raid into anyone who has follower only mode. Um, because maybe my community don't want to be forced into I just feel like it's a really shallow follow.
Yeah, of course.
Um, and it's kind of like strong arming someone as being like, if you want to come into my house, you have to compliment me. And it's like it feels very like disingenuine. Like it's like, okay, your hair looks great. And it's like, thank you. But like they come in and it's like, do they actually think my hair looks great or they just kind of done it because I forced them to? I don't like that. I don't like that aggressiveness.
Yeah.
But I indirectly did that at the beginning. So I would change that. I would definitely do a little bit more research and understanding into the culture before jumping on the platform.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think though, in your case, like you definitely sort of well, you learn by doing, for sure. And like, it's probably safe to say that, you know, this was something that kind of, given like the changes in your life with like COVID and lockdown and things, like it
Mm.
was something that you just fell into. And I think it's safe to say you fell in at the right time as well. And like, look how
Yep.
amazing it's went for you. I think as well, sometimes you kind of have to go through these things and look back and think, well, okay, I would have done this differently. I would have done this because then, well, I think I say this to everybody. This, like, I think every single day is like a learning experience with when you're streaming, because it's like,
Yep.
how could you have done something different? Because not everybody is going to be everybody's cup of tea. But you just have to
Exactly.
do things the way that you want to do it. And I think when you do start, it's incredibly easy to like almost like emulate sort of other people that you've seen and just kind of like, oh, I've seen someone do this. They seem to do well, this, that, and the other. But I think starting out in this is one of the hardest things that you can do as a streamer, because it's like, where do you
I
get your
think
break?
I had like a really good upper hand in the sense that I didn't watch anyone, so I was just
Mm-hmm.
doing
Just doing it the way
whatever
you,
I was
yeah.
doing the way, and that's the way I've always done. I've just always done my own things.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it, because I think, well, yeah, even saying you're not, then okay, you're not emulating somebody else. You're just going off. Okay, this is here. This is what you have in front of you. You're just going to go
Mm.
off that and just go like, okay, well, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. I could do, yeah. Well, sure.
Mm.
This is right here. Sure, that's fine. But I mean, well, it's safe to say that whatever you've done has worked for sure, and you've been able to develop
Thank
on
you.
that in like one of the best ways. And I 100% wish you all the best successes with that going forward in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah,
for
of
having
course.
me.
No,
That's so kind.
absolutely. But yes, Teagues, it has been absolutely fantastic having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule between streams,
Thank
no
you for
less,
talking.
to come on to behind the camera. Do you have any final words for the listeners today?
Thank you very much for listening to me and letting me talk your ear off. And yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully, something resonated with you. And if
Of
it did,
course.
take it. If it didn't, throw it in the bin. But yeah,
No,
thank
this
you
has
so
been
much.
brilliant. No, thank you
I
very
appreciate you
much.
all.
Yes. Yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. I've been AndyGames_94. My guest today has been Teegstah. You can find her on Twitch and TikTok at Teegstah, Teegstah. So we will be back again with another guest in a future installment of Behind the Camera. But until then, thank you again for tuning in, and we shall see you again in the future.